no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too dey talk. He too dey talk. Say Mayegun diary, he dey hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Woman pikin dey the street dey hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say Mayegun don come. So my people make you laugh. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don come. Oh yo yo, my people make you shout. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don come. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don come, man of the masses. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don come. Oh yo yo, Mayegun diary politico. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don come. Oh yo yo, this man not. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, good evening to you, from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun live.
Facebook, lórí YouTube. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary.
Thank you very much. You can still share the broadcast if you are just joining us. Share the broadcast, invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, right? This is Sunday Sermon coming at the late hour, isn't it, right? Join us, share the broadcast, and then we will get started.
Mayegun diary, diary politico. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Godfatherism, kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o, kẹ́kọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́nu o. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Hello, thank you.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ra kì í. Mayegun ti dé.
Yes.
Mayegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ra kì í. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ra kì í. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Mayegun ti dé.
I saw this somewhere.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ra kì í. $1 million Egungun match for Tifnumbu. And this one too.
2023. Yeah. 2023. Yeah. Aṣíwájú 2023. Okay, miss.
Share the broadcasts.
Mayegun ti dé, gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o. Mayegun ti dé, gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Mayegun ti dé, gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Yes, good evening to you, good morning to you, and good afternoon to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun live. And tonight, Our conversation is going to border on the morality and the fraud associated with the stigma of being poor, how they have used that to manipulate you religiously, politically, Nigerianly. What do I mean by this? In Nigeria, where I grew up, and possibly many of you watching me right now, being poor is not something nice. You know that. It is, let me explain the poor in this case, so that whenever they say Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, and then they throw figures at it, then maybe if I can give you a bit of a description or a bit of a, reminder, just maybe you would understand what this poor or poverty means in this context of this conversation tonight. Growing up living in poverty, we're feeding. In fact, just like they have it in the UK now, where people have to either choose between heating their home or having food in their belly, choosing between the two. That kind of poverty. Well, in Nigeria, where I saw myself first-hand experience of what it meant to live in poverty, where you lack absolute everything, and you just have to live on, on what God would do for you, which mostly is the 911 or 999 of the poor people in Nigeria, when nothing is coming from anywhere. Now, today, that level of poverty, has now become exponential. I don't know the meaning, but I know it's something bigger because I actually know why I use the word. It is so big now that over 128 Nigerians are now living in what they call extreme abject poverty, where feeding, in Yoruba land, there is a saying, they say, that is, if food or hunger is out of all your problems, right? You see, the rest of your problems is more or less like half solved. Abi? Now, the way they now use the context of poor people in Nigeria, if you are poor, sometimes you will kind of, feel this consolation. And that consolation is that no matter what you are going through, just be grateful and thankful to God because He loves you. And guess those who are mostly using that to keep you in the perpetuity of perpetual docility. So being poor in Nigeria context, when politicians want to address those they called ordinary, well, put it this way, being poor makes you ordinary. And politicians in Nigeria, they have a lot of lots of speeches that they wrote, great ones for poor people, but all talks, no action. If you pay attention very well to what is going on in Nigeria today, right, you will realize that the poor people or the vulnerable people in this case, the vulnerable Nigerians, are the most hit by the economic, political, and all manner of decisions being made by those in charge of your country. When you check those who are mostly the victims of terrorism, they are mostly the poor people. When you check the population of those who are dying due to poor health, they are mostly poor people. When you check the population of those who are mostly unemployed, jobless today, they are mostly poor people. And in this category, the politicians have now developed what, well, put it this way, they created the poverty, right? And the more of you that falls into that poverty, right, the more influential or powerful they will be. Why? In Nigeria, the people believe that if you help the poor, the needy, there is a reward for you religiously. Okay? In fact, even if you are a terrible public administrator, a thief, a very, very corrupt individual, right? There is this soft spot that the people they stole from, the people they made poor, this set of criminals, politicians, right? They have, many of them have now created another avenue to be the helping hand, giving helping hand to the people they made poor. Because religiously in Nigeria, even if a politician is a thief, like many of them are, yeah, the people they are stealing from, religiously, psychologically, they have been conditioned to believe that even if you are stealing our money, making us poorer, denying our children education, denying us healthcare, denying our own children, young people, opportunities to get jobs in their country and live like human beings. But if you once in a while remember us and you can share food to the hungry people, share clothes to the naked people, share drugs or medicine for the sick people in your own capacity, not as a government, as you promised them, but as individuals who love them, even though they are only privileged to have you. So in this case, the poor people, therefore, the same Nigerians who are the victims of the destroyed Nigeria of today, they suddenly, not all of them, because it's just like touching the soft spots. So the politicians who dare become philanthropists. Have you noticed that the criminal politicians who loot you, who steal your future, your everything, right? Then they turn to philanthropists who now give scholarship to the children of the poor, who now give food to the retirees, pensioners, old people who can no longer feed themselves because their pensions have been stolen by the same politicians who are now philanthropists. So, over time, when we were growing up, this made poor people to feel like they are powerless. They know. However, psychologically, they kind of believe that God loves them so much, and God is seeing the looters, the criminals, and He will deal with them. Is that not a bit complicated? Yeah, of course. That's why I said that if you pay attention to some of the things wrong with Nigeria today, you will realize that the revolution now, our revolutionists will say, gbogbo wa la lọ́wọ́ ń bẹ, gbogbo wa la lọ́wọ́ ń bẹ, bí Nàìjíríà ṣe bàjẹ́, gbogbo wa la lọ́wọ́ ń bẹ. But the people who shaped the society to accept, right, the gift from the same criminals, right, who denied them all the basic things of life that now made life more extremely frustrating. Abi, let me rephrase, or let me take a back step again. Let me take a step back rather again, okay? The society you have in Nigeria, right, believes that, number one, with what Nigeria is here, they kind of believe that, or let me say, accepted that when Nigeria happened to them and they are falling below that ladder, which everyone is falling into almost every hour in today's Nigeria. At that point, when that reality hits you, and I'll give you examples of how you begin to find yourself or begin to realize that, hey, it be like say, I am becoming poorer and poorer now. You may probably call it surviving, but when you check your own book, probably, I mean, if you check your own timeline, you probably will agree with me to some extent here. Once you begin to find it, let's say you don't have your own house, as many people love to build theirs, Abby, you are a tenant, right? You have a job, okay? And then maybe you have a family, right? And when you say family, we're talking about the immediate and then the nuclear and big one in any way as you might want to put it. We all have our responsibility, and most of what we need to actually survive or live our life, right? They are not as humongous as Nigeria will make you probably think. You want a roof over your head. You probably want a job whereby you will be able to care for yourself and care for the people you love, pay for the services that are rendered to you and all that. Abby, being responsible as a citizen, all of this, right, are being denied many of us in Nigeria. But put it this way, you probably had everything all going for you, but gradually, as the economy is taking a downturn, you begin to adjust because your income are beginning to dwindle, and they are beginning to get to a point whereby you are beginning to, take out few things that you normally do with ease before. You are beginning to realize that no, you will not be able to do them. And gradually, you are cutting things that actually make life meaningful for you because you are comfortable. You begin to cut them off, surviving. Then the part that will hit you more is when you begin to, run late on your rent, run late on the school fees of your children, Abi, and you begin to run late on some other certain payment and all that. That will be the time that the frustration will begin to set in. You know what? Because even at that, you probably still have other things that you are looking up to, expecting. Oh, maybe by October, or let's say by February, I expect all the things I'm working on to come back, and you see everything that is so slow for me now, I can pick up from there. How many of you had slow time 4 years ago, 3 years ago? You were doing fine, you were struggling, and you were hoping by the next 4 months, by the next 6 months, and before you know it, it's been a year, 2 years. Now, today, you didn't go back. How many of you will attest to that? If you're watching me from Nigeria, mostly, this reality are what puts you in the basket of the people that the politicians considered as those that they need to help, even when you know they are not intending of or have any intention of any help, right? So these same criminals, these same people are the ones that will then tell you that God loves the poor. And that was where that mentality of God would fight your fight with the politicians who have also, in this case, discovered another technique, in my own opinion, probably to bribe the same God you are expecting to come and fight for you, to fight them for you. Put it this way. In a country where people are so religious, but they are not, religious but not godly, okay? Because God's way is love, isn't it, Abby? Well, it should be. Love is God, or God is love. And it starts from where? Start from your hearts, Abby. And the love of God is also should be for the people created by God, which means in Nigeria, I'll put it this way, if your politician is not Alhaji, it will be a deacon or reverend. If she is not Elijah, she will be deaconess, pastor, or what else? They all profess or confess to one religion or another. In all of this, in the Bible, in the Quran, the poor people were well kind of, defended, vulnerable people, weak people, and all that stuff in the Bible. The people, they were what? They were defended by people raised by God to fight for the Abi. And the by poor people. But you know what the politicians in Nigeria, what they have done? They have intentionally made you poorer by destroying your economy. You may not understand that because, it's Nigeria, isn't it, Abi? Now, they destroyed your economy, turned you, as they have psychologically positioned or conditioned you, then turned you to God that you did not campaign for or vote for when the politicians are making the promises to you, Abi. Then when you now turn to Dago, you realize that the same politicians are also the ones funding Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca. They pay for their flight, they pay for their visa, they pay for their hotels. They send the poor people who cannot afford to pay for their own pilgrimage to Mecca. After they have managed to brainwash them fully in Nigeria, where religiously they can't fight the criminals ruling or ruining them. They can't. Religiously, they are not allowed to. Do you get that now? Because God chooses leaders. Do you know that? Abi, is that not what they told us when we were growing up? God, it is God that chooses leaders. Abi? So religiously, you cannot be fighting what God brought, even if it's a good leader, if it's a bad leader. And in Nigeria's case, they've been bad to worse, terrible. Yeah? But every time you ask yourself, or probably feel like you should do something, religious rogues, they will tell you, calm down. There is a plan. In fact, God has a plan. Is that not what they told us when we were growing up? But what we discovered is that they have hacked that long time ago, because your religious, especially the Islamic leaders in Nigeria, Ishifi Mamu, Maliki, Malimu, Mali, this and that, here and there, politicians are sponsoring them to go and pray for them. So, they send them from Nigeria to Saudi Arabia to go and pray to Allah in Saudi, that Allah should go back to Nigeria and touch the hearts of the criminals in Nigeria to do good. Do you see where the scam is, right? But conditionally, when you are poorer, politicians have shaped Nigeria in a way that whatever you get, consider it a privilege. It is not your right. So many of you have not paid attention to that so far. And that's why I said, when they say you will see the God of the poor people, how they fight back, there's nothing like that. Absolute nothing like that. And here it is. One of the questions I asked myself when I was growing up, the moment I discovered that we have been lied to for so long, there is nothing comfortable, there is nothing lovely, there is nothing encouraging being poor. And when you discover, right, some of you are younger watching me right now, okay, you probably won't understand all of this. But by the time you discover that all the things you were taught or you are being told about Nigeria are complete farce, lies, you're going to be angry. And you're going to be very, very angry. You won't just be angry with Nigeria. You'll be angry with many, many of your uncles, your aunties, who lied to you, because that's how they are conditioned too. The question I asked myself when I was when I got a little bit older was that if God indeed, in Nigeria context, is the who love the poor, and listen to the cry of the poor, because we are so many, so many. The people whose children died because they couldn't afford to pay 1,000 naira card fee or 10,000 naira medical bill in different hospitals. They lost their loved ones. When they hold them in agony and they scream and they cry to God to do justice. Do you know how many people who do that every day in Nigeria? Yeah? Okay, I'll tell you. There are many people like that. Agony, injustice in Nigeria every day. Terrible ones. Oh. Then I was like, if people says, now God, they choose leaders. Both religions said that. Wait, could it be that there are more sinners in Nigeria, yeah, than good people? Because why is it that all of the leaders of Nigeria from 1960 to 2022, they have been the most horrible, terrible, heartless, most criminally minded humans you can come across ever? They fill in all the gap of everything you've probably heard of human beings being horrible. That couldn't have been God. No, I don't believe that. Because how could God hate people so much? Yeah? That despite all of their cries, the suffering, the killings, how could he continue to give them, from councillor to local government to assemblymen, lawmakers, to national assemblymen and women, to governor, to president? How could God be unkind that much? Then I realized that it's because they lied to you. Being poor is not God's will. Do you know that? When politicians want to talk, they will say, the real voters are not on social media. You know, they say that all the time. All of you are just making noise on social media. The real voters here, they are illiterate. They are poor people. That even if you give them just 500 naira, they will do whatever they want them to do. Because that is true. That is so true. But do you now see the conflict, the confliction in this, right? Politicians who made people poor deliberately, so that whatever they are offered can be used in what? In manipulating them to do their biddings, which, in other words, to continue to tighten the noose that Nigeria is tightening around your neck every time. Do you get that? Does that make any sense to you at all? Or no, it doesn't? No, come on. It does make a lot of sense to you. It should. They created the basket. Everyone is falling into it every day. You know that movie? Have you seen that movie? Well, not movie anyway, but I don't know, maybe it's a movie or it's a show. When we were growing up, there were these Christian organizations who are into movies about Jesus, about Moses and the Egypt and Red Sea. I don't know how many of you, because I grew up in Ijebu, Odogbolu. So we had limited televisions, okay? Talk less of having cable TV or anything, okay? So what we had then was, if we are not watching television in other people's homes through the window of their houses and all that, but we do get entertained in what you can call a community square. I don't remember their name. Some of you will remember their name. They were all like everywhere, like Ayamatanga. You remember those guys who did Ayamatanga? You know them? Those kind of people, religious and all of that. So they will bring they will bring all these stories and all them to Odogbolu. Now, whenever they were showing all the stories, the birth of Moses, and then when they put him in a basket and they, in a crib like that, and they put him on, in Egypt, then the story will go on and on to other people who did bad things. Then, at some point, they will show you hellfire, hellfire, where people will be dropping. The fire will be like flame, and then people will be dropping like they are dropping from sky. These are dead people going to hellfire. Do you remember those? I was a child when they put that in my head, so that I will know that I'm going to hellfire if I don't follow Jesus at the time. You know what I mean? So I actually became a born again for it because I was so scared. Yes, I was scared, and I'm still like 38 years old today. I still remember that very well. But it doesn't work on me anymore, just like it was, okay? But why I'm using that is this, if you remember that. Do you remember how people will be dropping into the lake of fire? They call it lake of fire. That is exactly how people are dropping into the basket of poverty created by Nigeria politicians all around every day. Some of you are watching me right now. If that your next deal, if that thing should fail, if that your next employment, job application, if that next one fail, it's likely going to be your 27th or 100th application. You are already giving up already, aren't you? If this next one doesn't work this week, you don't know what you're going to do next. Some of you right now, you have your businesses. You were doing fine. You have been struggling. Nigeria has been like twisting your neck all this while, Abi. Now, you've been struggling. If that next funding does not come this week, your business may fold up. You know that, Abi? There are many of you. Now, this is the second week, I believe, that the school children will soon be going back to school. Maybe, I don't know if they have gone back to school in Nigeria. This is second week in the UK. But in Nigeria, they will soon be going back to school. You know it at this point. If that money that you are looking forward to, if that client doesn't pay you between now and the first week of September, your children may not be able to go to school. There are many of you like that in this situation right now, watching me. You are going to still fall into that lake or that basket of poverty created. And then you will fall into that bracket of those that they will now call, if they give you anything, you will call it a privilege. And that is what they glorify in Nigeria. Don't ever. There is no virtue in poverty. Poverty is like being the rag that anyone can use to clean anything. Poverty makes you shameless. Okay? The fear of poverty. Let me tell you something. You have two types of poverty. The first poverty is the lack, the real one, which is the lack, the want, the shortages, the struggle, and all of that stuff. The other poverty is called the poverty, well, hang on. You see this first poverty, physical one, that one is more aggressive. That is the one that we call dog eats dog, survival of the fittest. That is the one that when you are not mad, they will tell you, if you want to make money, because you are struggling, if you want to become rich, we can use your mother for money ritual. And you won't think it twice. In your mind, once I become rich, everything else doesn't matter. Meanwhile, as senseless as that sounds, that kind of poverty is aggressive. It is the kind of poverty that you are not a trained shooter. You are not a trained gunman. And because you are in a corner with your clique, Johnson, flexing about me, talking about life generally, the motivation came because you carry ogbe travailler the level to feel to go and rob a bank is not a big deal now. Then before you know it, You go into, and all these things that poverty can make you do, they are aggressive. They are mostly senseless. And no matter the risk, you are ready to do it. You know that? That is why when so many people in their poverty mind, their lack, you can afford to pay your own house rent. You can afford to feed well. You can even afford to be a responsible son or daughter to your parents. You can afford to be, it's so tough, Abby, and you will do anything. Would you like to come and swallow 50 wraps of cocaine? You have never used drug in your life. You were never raised or trained, right, to be associated with hard drugs. But Nigeria hardship, that physical poverty one, will make you think less. And then it's all about, I want to be free of lack. Yeah? Although that poverty also is not always into crimes. Oh. The poverty of lack has also somehow brought out the best in many, many of us. Many people have become creative because of the hardship, the hard life that Nigeria actually forced on you. Or many of you indeed probably forced on yourself, or your parents forced them on you. And I hope you won't force them on your own children at the end of the day. Now, you see, this physical poverty of wanting is the Baba. Now, you see the second one, which is called the poverty of the mind. That one is deadlier. That one is disastrous. And that one is not always limited to one or two people. Poverty of the mind. The poverty of the mind is what will make a poor Egbon Shara, Bros Sharafa, that we grew up in the slum of Ajegunle in Lagos. We dreamed of good life together. We condemned the bad politicians, the bad leaders together. In fact, we both, when we were younger, maybe we both dreamed of one day that if we have an opportunity, we are going to change the world. Only for Bros Shara to become local government chairman. And when we now call Bros Shara, Bros, this is where you grew up. This is your area. We'll be your person, we'll be your people. Look at the entire place. Now you have a small chance. Bros Shara will now discover that it doesn't belong to Ajegunle anyway. I have just been, now bad luck brought me to Ajegunle. Now bad luck brought my parents to Mushin. Doesn't mean that I have to change Mushin. I can always go to Lekki. Poverty of the mind. So that Bros Shara can then come back to Mushin to come and meet all of us still living in that squalor, in that slum. On that terrible road, Bros Shara would drive his latest automobile, 85 million naira chairman car, so that we can all come out and notice there is a big man in town with a tinted glass, with security detail. He is now a big man, a golden son of Mushin, GSM. Bros Shara, the golden son of Mushin. Mushin is still Mushin. It is called poverty of the mind. Poverty of the mind is not limited to that. It is also where people who knows that it is, it is only godly, right? If you are truthful, if you are very truthful to your own words, as politicians are not, so they are not godly. But however, they know and they can act any kind of role or godly role you want them to act, as convincing as you can want, as they can. Poverty of the mind is the one where somebody, a politician, or a friend of a politician. Connected, as they say, I am connected. Connected people of your different communities who have a chance of doing something as a government that will impact in the lives of tens of thousands of people, including women and children, aged and the sick. And they corner the money for themselves. I mean, build us a very standard hospital that will take care of every one of us, whether we are poor or rich. Let's have an access to a good health care. Then somebody who has a chance decided to go and use your money to build himself a palatial mansion, a big one, with very, very spacious ground, fenced and gated house, estate in most cases. Your money. Then build warehouse in them where they will store food so that you can then trek from your dilapidated communities to go and queue by their gates for whatever goodies they have to offer, including helping to pay for your children's education fees or examination fees. I am going to pay for 1 million children. I'm going to pay for the WAEC of 1 million children. Yes, sir, Senator, I swear to God, you don't know what you are doing, sir. You are changing the life of the people, sir. God will reward you. In fact, we, the member of this community, we may not be able to pay you back for the good things you are doing for us. Senator, gbàdúrà fún yín. Bàbá ní orúkọ Jésù, and all of those things that will follow. Poverty that they have glorified. Do not. You know those who also made the glorification of poverty in Nigeria to be more grounded? Well, no thanks to the religious manipulators. It is so unfortunate today, that the idea of what kind of people are going to make heaven. Agbaman, thank you very much, by the way, for your super sticker and then your super chat as well. That's quite generous of you, sir. Thank you. If I am wrong, you can correct me. That idea of oníwà rẹ̀lẹ̀ ló máa dé ìjọba ọ̀run, that you have to surrender everything you have to God. I'm not taking a piece at you. Remember I told you I've also been I've been a born again, so I'm speaking from my own experience now. I am actually looking beyond just the message. I'm looking more into the impact of what they actually indoctrinated us with. So what am I saying? You need to submit. You are a nobody in front of God. That's where it starts from, Abby. You should know. Without God, So first thing first, right? You need to submit yourself. That's when the psychological manipulation starts. And I'll give you an example, okay? Now, your money will not take you to heaven. Your power, your position will not take you to heaven. Your whatever and this and that will not make you make heaven. You need to submit everything. They are not asking you to submit them literally, okay? They are not asking you to submit them literally, right? They are psychologically asking you to know that if you follow this dictate, in a way, you are guaranteed a place next to God when you die. Do you get that now? Now, what they do is that, now if you then have nothing to give, let's say you are not a rich man or a rich woman or a powerful man or a powerful woman. So you don't really have any ego or anything. So Obedience, you will now submit yourself. What you need to submit then is what? Is your heart and your thinking faculty. Yes. What does that mean? It simply means that since you have nothing so much to drag with God and all that, right? For you to be guaranteed a space or a place in heaven, yeah? Number one, you have nothing that is going to really make you sin. Money can make you sin. Position can make you become too arrogant. And so many other things, these worldly things. So if you don't have them as a poor man or woman, in fact, you are closer to God than that rich man, because it is easier for, now so the Bible talk about, but maybe not this way I'm saying it. It said it's easier for kete to enter the hole, that needle hole, than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God in heaven. So if you are a poor man, you know that you are favored already. For those who knows where politics started from, they will tell you politics started, in fact, politics created church. Politics created religion. Do you know that? Maybe you don't know. Politics created religion. And everything around it is about control. In most cases, if you know the history of religion, it's about control. And how do you control the people? It is by promising them something more comfortable and peaceful than this troubled world. But in the long run, you are actually calming them down for a possible political revolution, as politics and church and religion, Islam and the rest of them, as they are all the same for those who know better. Again, I'm not taking a piece at you. I'm just trying to let you see how they have now used, or how they manage to psychologically condition you, especially if you are very, very religious. And in this case, your religion has managed to kind of dictate your level of involvement when it comes to leadership discussion, political discussion, or discussions like this that has to do with Nigeria, where religion and the rest are all kind of intertwined. Or separate them here. See through the conditioning that in your places of worship, they make you understand the fact that you may be angry, but what you need to do, instead of going against the authority, instead of challenging the authority, what you need to do is to what? Is to pray. That is social conditioning, religious conditioning. And that, they don't need to tell you, that lives in many, many of you today. Yes, it's true. There are many, many people like you that will give me many, many Bible, Quranic verses that back it up. That instead of you to challenge authorities, you should pray to God to deal with them. There are many, many like yours here. It is Nigerian way. You are not godly in that aspect. You are only being religious. And in that way, they are not preparing you for any heaven. They are not preparing you for anything. They are conditioning you for the political reality you are witnessing today in Nigeria, which is to say, Shebi, you are already poor. What do you need Afeaye for? Why do you need to live a life of enjoyment? Enjoyment will lead you to sin. So if the country is hard, all you have to pray for is that God should make sure that you are seeing something to eat. Abi, God is sending helper to you, not you actually living like a normal person would do. Yeah? It is called conditioning. And I am actually deconstructing your mind right now. If you manage to watch this broadcast to this level, I am deconstructing your mind. I am not trying to make you turn against your belief. I'm not asking you to turn against God.
I am saying for long time, yeah, if you measure it very well, poverty is glorified in Nigeria, in churches, in mosques. Poverty is glorified by politicians, including those who are kind of rich. You know how they do. I have been helping the poor. Who created the poor? And why is the bracket or the basket of the poor people in Nigeria growing? It is because that's where lies the power that these criminals have over you. That is the control. So if I'm deconstructing your mind now from what they have religiously implanted in you, I don't know how old you are, ma. I don't know how old you are, sir. But the bottom line is that you are likely not going to disagree with me that somehow, what I've said so far, some of them are true, especially you can relate with some of them. You see all these conditions in Nigeria, right? They are deliberate, okay? Normal. Your message of salvation, message of eternity and the rest of that, right? They were meant to be for lifting your soul. Or if you go to Nigeria today, yeah, in all honesty, I'm not saying there are no good, churches and all that too. So I'm not going to use one brush to paint everybody. But you will agree with me. Mushroom churches, mushroom mosque, mushroom religious centers promising prosperity. Why? Because the system has created more and more poor people. And why are those mushroom churches, why are they filling up every night? Night vigil, crusade, 5 days crusade, 7 days crusade, and the rest of all those here and there. Abi, why are all those places getting filled up? Because they are being promised the miraculous way out of the poverty created by Nigeria. You know what I mean now? Meanwhile, religion should have been something for you that has to do with you and your God, your soul, and how you want your soul to be when you die. Sure you get. But today, if it is either they are threatening you with hellfire, and you know how Nigeria is, then they are promising you prosperity. All these old things are happening in a country of poverty capital of the world, Nigeria. So the conditioning therefore makes it easier for people to come out most of the time. I'm even talking about the people that created the poverty themselves, to then come out and say, we need to help the ordinary Nigerians that we made poorer. So that is why in most cases, people like myself, we are not thankful or grateful, as some of you will say. Miss Modukwe Adeni, thank you very much, ma. And yeah, thanks so much for your super chat as well. And also to Adebayo Onilere, thank you for your own super sticker as well. People are being generous tonight, even though we are not many tonight. But I'm kind of, happy to have you. Yeah, so thank you. Right? Poverty is not a good thing. If you are watching me right now and you see these politicians right now, what they are selling is that they need to help the poor. That is you. There are many of you who are also going to fall into that bracket of poverty before the end of this year. I'm not cursing you. Like I said, if all your plan, if they don't work out between now and October, you know what is going to happen. Some of you and your businesses are going to part ways. You know it. Abi? So, politicians are now going to roll out food. And guess what? The people they made poor are going to be so happy. Some of you are going to be so angry. Look at them. They are sharing food again. Look at these people, these politicians. You'll be cursing them and the rest of that. But they will still do it anyway. You know what poverty does? There's something I experienced in this, their politics in Nigeria. If you are watching me right now, and you are watching me from, what do you call, if you're watching me from Nigeria, just know that whatever I tell you, I am speaking from experience. I'm not making them up, especially when it comes to this no holds bar Sunday sermon, because I can use stories. I can use stories that you can relate with. When they say God will fight for the poor, do you know who created that? Do you? Maybe you don't, but it is very common among the people saying, people will tell you, don't worry, you will see what will happen. God will fight for the poor, and you will see what will happen. Look at all of them. Look at Babangida now. Look at this one. Look at that one. To you, God is fighting for you, but no. Now, politicians created that phrase. Politicians created that phrase. Especially the ones that always want to associate with you during elections. You know, normal, they would have started eating their agbado, eating their roadside. Many of them would have started roasting corn for you. Some would have started plaiting your hair right now. Maybe they will still do it, I don't know. But they want to relate with the poor. The people they made poor. How did they make you poor? They destroy your education. You know that. Now, they miseducated you, right? Now, after giving you poor education, being miseducated, they now make you, many of you are graduates, but unemployable. You know what I'm saying? Many of you are unemployable, even though you are graduates. Abi, Nigeria ensured of that. That's what Nigeria did. And if you don't have the right education, education is not limited to reading or writing, as many of you are saying today. But yeah, you need to know, you need to learn how to read and write. You need to learn to do what? To do addition. Because even if you don't want to do anything, probably you go into business, you still have to calculate your monies. Won't you do? You would have to do. But many of you today, educated but unemployable. Do you know what that means? You cannot help yourselves. They created you, and there are many of you, right? They created you. The amount of opportunity you are going to have in life, in fact, is going to be decided by the amount of education you have, formal and informal education you have. But in Nigeria, you can tell they are not in any way educating you to be ambitious. Right from the classroom, they have already placed that barrier there. Don't be too ambitious, or you may find yourself in soup. You may never graduate. You know what I mean? Same thing out there. You are not trained, you are not educated to be ambitious. Because if you are ambitious, you question everything right from the classroom. The society would have had people like you who are indeed educated. But in Nigeria, they educate you to speak and write. But apart from that, nothing else. And therefore, rather than have an educated country, progressing country, developing country, or developed country, what you have is a third world country, retrogressing one, where the young people are escaping in droves. That is that, and that has created more poverty. When I came to the UK, I was told that it is better if I want to really work for real, I should go and get some training. You can call it education as well, for that particular job I would love to do. And every support I needed to get that training, right? They were there. So it's now up to me. Do I want to do them or not? So I did. 6 weeks training, 6 weeks probation, and I became one of the best staff that worked in that is working in in my own office. I'm not joking. I'm not making this up. I became one of the best here in Glasgow, and I got an award, a lot of awards to show for that. At work, they trained me for that purpose. in Nigeria today, rather than create opportunities that will make you advance your knowledge and then approach and access more opportunities that will then take you out of poverty, they block them. They did. So every road lead to them. Do you want to bamba with the big boys and you're not a Yahoo boy? You want to what else that they call that thing? You want to flex with the big boys. You want to enjoy and all of that stuff, and you are not a Yahoo boy. What you need to do is to join the political vuvuzela job. The political vuvuzela job is that at least you can read and write, and some crumbs can come your way. You can live by that. Somehow, you'll be better off than your peers who are still struggling and they have no way to go. That's where another poverty of the mind comes in. So many of you have now turned into that political survivor. That is why today in Nigeria, you see many people you knew and you still know today who actually experienced poverty firsthand. Now, when they have an opportunity of being in political offices or government, what do you think they do? They don't want to go back to poverty. So all they have to do is to take whatever they can take. They don't want to go back there. Your politics now turn to survivor. Nobody want to be poor again. And nobody want to work as well. And the only place you get free money is politics, isn't it? So all you have to do is what? Use yourself and as an example for the people you left in the trenches. They call it trenches. The people you left in the trenches, you can go back to and say, look at me.